Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I am so grateful that we are all here. This is your daily Catalyst Astrology report for July 14th, 2020. It's a big day today, my friends. It is some major transits that are happening, and it's important that we know exactly what we're dealing with today. So let's get right into it. We have the Sun is going to be opposing Jupiter retrograde in Capricorn, as you can see here, strong opposition. And then tomorrow, that opposition will be with Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. So this Capricorn gang is really going to be aspected very strongly by where the Sun is getting very close to Leo. We also have the Moon right here coming to conjunct Uranus in Taurus. The Moon is exalted in Taurus. She is powerful in Taurus, and so meeting up with Uranus here in this 10 to 11 degree of Taurus is an opportunity to really emotionally align with that awakening path that we are all experiencing right now. And then the big one too on top of that is Mars is conjunct with Chiron now retrograde in Aries. It is going to be very hot. It is going to be possibly very inflamed and explosive, maybe a very quick flash of electricity. Thankfully, we have this Moon in Taurus that is grounding us emotionally and allowing us to be grounded emotionally as we step into the gateway of our awakening collectively with Uranus. And Uranus in Taurus is about the awakening process and the disruptive, revolutionary change in the actual physical material reality that our lives are made of. So our resources, what we value in the physical and material world around us, the actual Earth herself. So this is a really good grounding force for some of these really large and very impactful aspects today. So the Sun in late Cancer, the Sun is our ego consciousness, our full expression of who we are. It is the outward expression of our personalities collectively. Right now, the Sun is the center of it all. The Sun rules Leo, and soon the Sun is going to be in home territory. So when the Sun is getting into late Cancer like this, we're starting to really get a sense of where we belong, where we feel safe, and feeling safe enough to fully materialize our personalities and to express them. Jupiter retrograde in Capricorn. Jupiter is in fall position. It is not powerful in Capricorn. Is actually exalted in Cancer, right? Is much more powerful in Cancer. And so Jupiter has not been happy in this Capricorn energy, especially now it's retrograde. So there's been a lot of inner expansion on these themes. And Jupiter at 23 degrees Capricorn is the soldier accepting 2 awards for bravery. And it suggests that with the 2 awards, that regardless of what side you find yourself fighting for, the awards go to those who have fulfilled their duties with integrity and honor, and there is some sort of recompense. There is a recognition collectively for that work. And with Jupiter retrograde, this internal, it's much more of an internal expansion of that. And it's a real letting go at this point, which is difficult for Jupiter because Jupiter is leadership. And so there is a certain amount of humbleness that needs to come along with Jupiter, which is not easy at all. There is not humbleness with Jupiter. Not at all. It's just a consistent expansion outward. And with retrograde, it's certainly much more of an expansion inward. So this opposition is pulling us in either direction. And the fulcrum point is where we want to balance to really get the most out of this energy. So I want to read the Sabian symbol for 23 degrees Cancer, so you get an idea of where we're at now with this late Cancer energy, because we're feeling very sure of ourselves. We're feeling very confident with ourselves emotionally, to the point where we're allowing that part of ourselves that can see where things are going to actually hold a critical perspective. So the Sabian symbol is the meeting of a literary society, an objective and critical approach to the common factors in our culture and to its psychological problems. And it says the poets, novelists, and critics of a society represent the endeavor by especially sensitive and intellectually gifted individuals to give form and meaning to the most characteristic situations and interpersonal relationships of their society and culture. So there's an intellectualization that is part of this, which is in some ways seems counterintuitive to the Cancer archetype because it's very much about the emotions, right? It is cardinal water. It is about the feeling and feeling emotionally vulnerable and safe. But because of this sureness emotionally, and with our not even emotions, but our intuition as well, there is an ability to intellectualize society and to look at how it's all coming together and be able to be critical, right? People are very critical right now on every position you can imagine. And as the sun continues to move through Cancer, we will become more willful, we will become more comfortable, we will feel much more safe, we will know where we belong, and we will not have any problems expressing that. And so the opposition here is, you know, we could really get pulled towards this very easily, and pull the power out of where Jupiter is already in a position where Jupiter is disempowered and is in its fall position. And so to remember that good leadership knows when it's time to take a step back, and good leadership within, right? Remember, Jupiter is retrograde. So this expansion and this leadership and this optimism and this abundance is within us right now. And we're focusing, and it's way more obvious because it's retrograde as well. So we're paying a lot more attention to this. And I think that this is a place where we could really focus and to remember that, you know, fighting with honor in the battle is worth some sort of reward and is honored by the collective, which is really hard to visualize right now because everybody is in a position where they are very hypercritical of where things are and people's psychological health based on what position they're taking. So this, you know, having a sense of balance is really going to be important in this moment today, especially because the moon or the sun, excuse me, the sun is then going to have this opposition with Pluto retrograde tomorrow, which I think is going to be even more powerful. Now, Mars is conjunct Chiron, now retrograde. I talked a lot about Chiron retrograde in the weekly report that you can see on YouTube. It'll be linked at the end of this video, so you can go right to it. So this degree, and I've talked about this endlessly because Chiron's been sitting at this 10-degree mark now, and this is where Chiron will exit shadow when it comes at, you know, stations direct later and comes to this point. And so it is about the imagery that we emotionally connect to, that we identify with, and being able to transcend that to a certain extent to see the symbolic meaning of it. And when we're talking about Chiron, we're talking about the wounded healer, the very deep original wounding. And in Aries, it's definitely about the self, the subjective experience. So Mars is going to come and meet up with Chiron here and supercharge, right? Completely supercharge this this energy about the images that trigger us, right? They trigger our deepest wounds. And whether or not we're able to transcend that and see the symbolic representation of those images and work with that rather than getting taken over by it. And so this is where I think it's going to potentially be explosive, because now that Chiron is retrograde, it makes it more obvious. It internalizes the experience, which makes it incredibly more painful because we have no way to really that it's really easy to externalize it. And with the sun at this degree of Cancer, we are feeling very bold and emboldened about being able to be critical and to intellectualize and critique what's going on in society, because we can kind of see how it's all unfolding. And this could really, you know, it can, if we are not balanced right here with this opposition, this right here can throw us into a crazy tailspin of identifying with our wounds, identifying with our victimhood, all of that stuff. And Mars doesn't have the capacity to intellectualize it, to have an emotional response to it. It is just cardinal fire. It is just action potential. And so Mars is just going to activate it no matter what we're doing with it. So that's something to keep in mind for today. And like I said, with the moon conjunct Uranus, this is very grounding. You know, the moon is exalted in Taurus, coming to Uranus. This is a moment to ground into the idea that the awakening path, as disruptive and as it's like a lightning bolt with Uranus. It is quick and it is through that stargate, but it is about cultivation of our natural world. It is about cultivation of our own ego consciousness. It is about lovingly nourishing it. It's a woman watering the flowers in her garden. It takes consistent attention, consistent love, identifying that it is about our physical material reality around us and not so much about watering the world's garden, right? We're watering our garden. And this is about what we each individually value. And with the moon, it's very personal and very internal and very emotional. And so this is very grounding today, which is lovely. So, and the moon will move through Taurus today, and by tomorrow we'll sextile Neptune retrograde as well, and then start trining all of the Capricorn energy as well, which will be really, again, very grounding as the sun continues to oppose the Capricorn energy as well. So this is the Daily Catalyst for today. Really big themes. So I wouldn't be surprised if things come up that are very triggering or very aggravating. And just to remember to get to follow the path of the moon and to allow yourself to get very grounded and very still, and remember that it's about right now it is about cultivating ourselves as if our consciousness and our own energy is this garden that we are nourishing and watering every day. It takes consistent time. So that is the Daily Catalyst for today. If you are interested in a reading or getting more information, everything you need is in the description box below. I'll be going live soon on the Facebook page to do the transmission for the intuitive reading of the Daily Medicine, which really expands upon the astrology and gives a much more, like I said, intuitive and channeled message about what's going on today, and specifically a lot of guidance about how to manage the energy and the archetypes that are associated with the astrology. So thanks for joining me. If you're interested in donating to this work, there'll be information in the description box about how to donate via PayPal, and it's so much appreciated. And take very good care of yourselves today, and I'll see you tomorrow.